you want the camera far away and you want the mic.
Maybe you can do this sharing. This some speakers there.
En A nu al. Learning from you on your watching everybody such a devotional movie. Totally awesome. I mean, I'm just learning from you all. I'm qualified here. So maybe
Well, I took a hint from Parmeshwara when I started out to try to stay in a light mood. I met about 3 or 4 people that took a book. One of them said he really wanted one, and he was looking for it, but he didn't have any money on it, so I let him have it, and then he embraced me. And then he
oh, that's
right.
I was wondering.
Yeah, you know, I said, okay, you really want to go, I can read it? Yeah, I'm going to read it. And I said, okay, it's yours. And he went, oh. And then, you know, it was, it's interesting, you know, watching all the people come and go in Brooklyn, and just trying to see if I could get a smile out of people, nothing more, you know. And that was basically, you know, all I have to relate, you know, just trying to stay in a positive attitude, because that's the thing that I'm struggling with the most.
Yeah, it was a very nice time. Positive attitude, definitely. Just relax, have fun. We talked before we went out. And I've been hearing it so much lately, it seems, different lectures and talking to people about we're not distributing books, it's more important to distribute friendship. We want to be friends, we want to make a good impression. Just to make people feel good. And that's, I think, is half the battle. You know, as far as getting people to stop and things like that, if you just be warm, you know, care about them. You know? Try to make them feel that you care about them. And that's, that was kind of in the back of my mind. I was after today. Yeah, didn't really, you know, it's not about trying hard, it's about being out there and just doing your duty.
I had a little bit of a quiet day at the table. But like Ken, I've been really thinking a lot about just trying to offer friendliness and distribute friendliness and giving a good impression. So I was trying to focus on kind of having like a host, friendly host kind of persona at the table. But as always, it was really great to have the Harinam going on and the dancing, and it was a good day. So thank you all.
For me, the most inspiring was that we had many good activities. It's very inspiring when we do. Yes, I mean, it's not about if you distribute books, even if when you already stand there, you know, with the books, it's already gives so much strength for you to distribute it. That's what I felt. And three separations of Harinam. So I just got my message. Oh, 3 separations of Harinam.
What happened to it?
We have Saptarishi set, it's 7 Mahabooks, and they distributed 3 Saptarishi sets already. But you see, it's very inspiring, even if we're not together, right? But it's energy flows everywhere. It's like,
When we started, there was that man from Belarus.
Yeah, that was my first person I spoke to.
oh really?
I started my session with that guy.
And then he took the video of the entire session, or at least he was there for a long time. I came up to him and then he started speaking Russian to me.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. When we came here today, like 2 o'clock, nobody's here. It's like, it was a little bit, wow. So many people show, so thank you so much. And I was listening to His Holiness Francisco Prabhu training whole morning today, and I was like, I will try it. I have this card, like I printed it, like I learned a lot of phrases, so I will try it. So I took books, and like first steps, like you have to say like hi. That's what I do. I just was like hi. Nobody stopped, but people smile. Like, so I think it's also a big success because it's really hard to do this way. To me, it's a big challenge. At least somebody smiled.
I'm just texting the one devotee because he was part of the Harinam. Don't want him to miss what we're doing. So it's my turn. I don't have any positive or a lot of things to share because my book distribution session was real short, and then I had to do singing, so I couldn't do a lot of books. But the first person I started with was that Russian guy, and then he started talking on, and I just had to like nod my head and walk out sort of backwards, like okay. And then there was this one guy one of those guys who have some information but wrong information, and they think they know it all. He was not Indian, but still, he had one of those strong ideas. And it was one of those games that you have to sort of like a gamble. Should I stick with it, try to sort of do it, or should I back out? Because if it's not favorable, it's just best to back out. And so I was trying to call that shot. When should I do that? And then after one point, it struck me, so there's no point, so I just withdrew myself. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Not much of I couldn't do for a long time. Oh, maybe next time we can have a longer book distribution session. An hour feels real short. 3 hours feels good. First half hour. Huh?
Because it's after Harinam. 6 hours.
Yeah. Because at least for me, it takes a while to warm up. And then by the time you're warmed up, that's it. It's time to back up.
No, that's true.
You ready to jump in one of our
It
vans?
felt like a long time.
Non-stop Harinam. Non-stop Sankirtan.
Yeah.
Is that a different clock?
Yeah, I had very intense experience today. So first I started from dancing and it created a mood and some like joy. And then I decided finally to try to distribute some books. It's it always was a step out of my comfort zone, and it was a challenge for me. But I wanted to give it a try. So I did, and at the beginning it was really not easy to even stop person and find that person who at least smiling back and like at least in positive have positive look and ready at least to have some interaction. Yeah, it was my first step, and so what I could do is just stop person and ask if they're interested in spiritual knowledge books, but mostly the answer was no. No one really took a look, and like at the middle, I had very hard experience with the guy who was very aggressive and ended up even like calling devil names and something. So I wasn't. Couldn't find a way to stop this conversation on time, not to continue, because I already felt that it's not the person I should talk with. But at that moment I had a doubt if I should continue or not, but I decided to still do some more. And as a reward at the end, so I also met some Russian person who was interested. He said he already have Bhagavad Gita. He didn't take a book, but I invited him to our Russian events next week, Russian a lecturer will be here and give some lectures. So he said he will come. He was very interested. He wrote the Bhakti Center address and time of those events. And at the end, another reward was like the old woman stopped by and just asked for a book. So I didn't do anything. She just stopped near me and asked, "Oh, you have books?" When everyone was speaking, I was just standing with books, and she stopped and took a book. So it was a nice ending for me and like nice experience at the end. So that's my first try today.
My part was short. I was playing karata and focusing on the holiday.
You created a nice atmosphere so that people slowed down.
Trying to progress.
In fact, I think the Harinam got all the credit from my end. 'Cause I went on the subway once and it was a small book. But other than that, everybody stopped and then they took the book because they listened to the music. Anyway.
I've noticed today that it's much more easier to do the Harinam when it's a good weather because most of the people they a little depend on it, and I've noticed that I've seen more friendly people when it's good weather, warm, outside on the Union Square. But at the same time, it was a good experience to show that you may not depend on the weather, because when I'm dancing and do my service, even if I'm tired, I feel like kind of like happy compared like what kind of feelings I had in the past without Krishna consciousness. In that kind of weather, when it's rainy and windy, and it's like you don't want to do anything, you just want to go home, and somebody offer you a book. So I was trying, like I've heard like the devotees say about trying to show like friendliness. So that was my point today too. Thank you.
My part was short.
No.
I was playing guitar. At least we had few smiles from the people. That's what bring me joy. Because in this crowded city, you rarely even get any smiles. Because people are so concentrated on their problems, on their trends and everything. So at least the sound of the holy name and the presence of all the devotees made me joyful, and I hope I could share it with people too. Thank you so much.
I actually wanted to say something else quick. That when I had to sing, I realized that when you're doing books and there's like a loud Harinam or Kirtan going on, it's so hard to do books. When you're talking about yoga, stress, and you have to scream that, like yoga, meditation, yoga, stress. So when I was singing, I was trying to sing little mellow. Stress! So that was my goal. When I was singing, I was intentionally singing real soft, so that people can hear the holy names at the same time. Book distributors don't have to scream and yell.
Yeah. The Harinam made such a difference just as far as the mood. Like I noticed when you were switching singers, I would just, when there was nobody singing, it just kind of got, then when it started, it was like, okay. It just felt this energy. As soon as the Harinam stopped, the energy went down. I started again, it came right back up. It was really, really nice.
Can't imagine what it's like to distribute books that are punk basically screaming at the people because the music is so loud.
Same thing though, when the music's playing, looks flat. When there's no music, like, if I distribute the book, it's like,
I've been hearing so many horror stories about distributing books in New York. Like Prabhupada said, expect the worst, but hope for the best. So I just went out thinking, the worst thing was going to happen. So just when someone even stopped, I was so happy. Just, oh my God, someone stopped. And, so it was good because I had really low expectations. And then I also heard a nice technique is, you spot a guy maybe 50 yards away, and you just start making that connection. Like, hey, I'm here. You can't ignore me. And then it's nice because by the time they get to you, you're in their consciousness so much that it's harder for them to ignore you.
They already know you.
Yeah, there's already some relationship. You've known each other for about 4 seconds already.
I'll have to remember that.
It was nice. I noticed. Okay, that guy, and you can tell also by, you can kind of tell their consciousness just by looking at them, their mannerisms. So I just, all right, get that guy. I just kind of wave to him, and then say some question like, a couple, oh, who's more spiritual, you or him? Or how's your karma? Or, these are meditation books. How's your meditation? And then I noticed it would kind of hook him in a little bit. And then I got this one guy, and at first he just showed no interest at all in the books. He's like, he wouldn't even touch it. He's like, no, I can't take that. And I started saying, would you meditate? And then turns out he was saying that he only lives by the will of God, and he only eats when God allows him to. And it was pretty far. He was a smart guy, but either really, really advanced or a little crazy. And the whole time I was thinking, how am I going to get him a book? How am I going to get him a book? And then at the end, I would try like presenting the books in a subtle way and seeing if he'd go for it, but he wouldn't go for it. And then finally at the end, I said, okay, we have a center here, right down the street. And I said, yeah, the address is in the back of this book. And still he wouldn't take it. And then finally, I said, okay. Yeah, I said, I really want you to take one of these books. I can tell you're a very advanced soul. And because I know that he was saying he only does things if God allows him to. So I said, okay, take it for now, and then ask God later. And then if he approves, then at least you have the book right there. Then you can read it. So then finally he took this little small book. So that was cool. And then one lady I talked to, she was saying, yeah, everything in my life is terrible, and I completely lost faith in God because everything is just going negatively, and God is treating me badly and treating people who he shouldn't be treating well, good. And I kind of same thing. I kind of just stuck with it, and then eventually she took a book and even gave a donation, even though the whole time she was telling me she didn't have a job or anything. She was struggling to find work, but somehow at the end she took a book, and as soon as she gave that $1, her consciousness just completely changed, and she was so happy, and she left with a huge smile on her face. I mean, when I was talking to her, she was pretty much crying, and by the end of the conversation, she was just so blissed out. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm really gonna try this. So it was really touching. Yeah, man. We'll see what happens.
You want to share your experience today?
Yeah, sure. I didn't even realize you guys were, I guess I have been completely out of touch with what was going on today. I just thought it was going to be a training, and I came late.
You were here.
I feel very happy. I told a few people I wanted to do this book training a long time ago, but I thought you had to know like every book, so I never tried to do it. And I like to meet different people, and I think that I don't mind being aggressive. I'm a Taurus, I'm a bull, that's why I do cat protection. So like I don't mind walking next to people, walking in front of people, telling them this, telling them that. So I did that, and I was very happy that all the books, Govind happened to explain to me, he's like, I do professional yoga, I do the booklet, I do the Gita, and I happen to grab that, then I see Higher Taste, and my thing is about vegetarianism. A few people here know I wrote my own book about that, so I'm like, let me do that. And I only had a few minutes, but the only book that I wound up giving to a person was, and he wound up taking Higher Taste. And I told Sarah earlier, like I have all these $2 bills that I saved for good luck. And he happened to, I thought he was giving me $5, but he gave me a $2 bill. So I was like, let me hold that $2 bill and ask if I could put in $5 for him, because I consider that my sign of good luck, because I never did book distribution. The first thing, the money I got was a $2 bill, and number 2 is one of my lucky numbers, so I was like, I was very happy with the experience. And then I wound up talking to those Jehovah's Witnesses, because I heard about this being conflicts between people that have different tables set up and this and that, and I talked to them a lot without books. I just talked to them about vegetarianism, because I talk about, I'm like, well, so some Christians, you follow just the New Testament, you follow the Old Testament, and people quote chapter 5, 9, this, that. They were talking about Daniel, they were talking about this. I'm like, well, what about the book of Genesis, chapter 1, the beginning? Like the Empire State Building, you can go without the 100th floor, you can go without the 10th floor, but if you mess up the foundation, then you mess up the rest. So it's like, if you don't understand first grade, don't talk to me about 5th grade and 10th grade. And it says herbs and vegetables are the only approved food for humans and animals. So I'm like, and that will be your meat. So if you don't understand that, I don't care about a flood or whatever, because there's no flood right now, and algae and seaweed can grow underwater. So even if there was a flood, you wouldn't have an excuse to kill animals. So I'm like, what is your excuse? So I talked to them at the end, and they, because the one woman said to me, she's like, well, it's our personal choice if we want to eat animals. I'm like, wait, that's somebody's kids. What if I said it was my choice to eat your kids? Like, would you? That's why people don't think it through. And I had to talk about a lot of other things, about sexual, promiscuity, infidelity. I said, we're eating meat, you act like an animal, you think like an animal, and that's why Lisa. So I had to plan all these things. And then, we see where it goes. So I'm like, look, you're not going to like what I say today, but I'm planting those seeds, and someone else will give the air, the water, the love. You'll see me another day. So I had to tell them, like, I'll give you my card, because I gave my personal card, because they didn't want the things related to Krishna. I mean, they didn't want the booklet. But I said, look, I've accepted many of Jehovah's Witness things, because there's one near where I grew up in Queens, there's people that come to your door, and I know where their kingdom hall is, and I talk to them, and then I take their literature, I read it. I don't pretend to read it, I read it because I really want to know, because I mix with all religions. But my thing is, you can pick any holy book, any holy name, any holy place, I don't care. I happen to be affiliated with this temple from the 80s, but I don't just push Krishna, I'll be honest with you. My thing is no meat, no fish, no eggs. And most Hindu scriptures say protection of animals and vegetarianism is the highest form of religion. So everybody else can wear the costumes and the outfits and do this and that, but I want to know, do you kill somebody's kids or do you not? Are you a godly vegetarian or devilish meat eater? Boom. That's all I need to know. And it goes along with Prabhupada, and they say, some people say to me, like, yeah, Prabhupada, he did talk about Krishna and the Gita, but he brought them in with the prasadam. Right? He didn't get them to sit there all the time unless they had some nice good food to eat the whole time. So vegetarianism is a staple of Prabhupada's disciplines. I mean, my thing that I do does not conflict with any religion, because like I tell people, I know you're not so heartless that you demand that an animal die just so you can eat. And I said, I'm a real estate agent. I help people open a vegetarian restaurant. I'm helping these Hare Krishna guys serve prasadam, because I can show you any meat you want. I can give you a vegetarian version. Why do you need an animal to die? They don't need it. So, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm like, yeah, because your mom and your grandma tricked you into eating the murder, and now you're making excuses to justify your addiction. It's an addiction, and I heal people, and that's it. So you guys gave me an excuse today to do my I look at everything as a preaching opportunity, like Prabhupada said. So, but I preach vegetarianism, but I can mix it with the Hare Krishna. And while I was talking to them, I had my books displayed, so anybody's walking by sees the Krishna books. So, and I told them, like, I can be flamboyant, I can deliver to the audience. I just never did it before, because I don't know. I thought that you had to know every book in order to answer people's questions, but I didn't think about the other angles. So I appreciate everything that I saw today. And it was a lucky time. So all you people are part of my good luck, so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
So you're joining us every month?
See, I can't commit, but I would like to. Yeah, this sounds very,
It's only once a month. You can come
Well, I'm trying to go worldwide what I'm doing, so when I'm here, yeah, I would like to do it, because I want to do more of this. I want to sit with the Harinam more, Honestly, yeah.
You are really incredible people. If you all can muster yourself up to the books here, you can, like, if you get out one book here, it's like getting out 10 books almost here. So really, if you all can muster yourself up to do this, you're really special people. It's not easy,
Wow. Why is like this? Like I don't know. Like I'm totally new, not experienced. Why New York considered to be a hard city? Like
Yeah, I was just going to ask
This is tough.
the horror stories here.
because we all started here.
People in New York are living on top of each other, and generally in New York, people know not to talk to anybody who approaches you, because if you pull into something you probably won't want to be pulled into. So it's a mentality that New Yorkers well understand, and they cultivate it, and they practice it literally every day, at least 5 or 6 times if they're out in the city. So That's what makes New York different. Other cities, it doesn't work like that much, unless you live downtown where you have maybe a similar kind of thing.
Did you share your experience already?
I just shared my experience and just really appreciating y'all. And I felt really supported of y'all's presence and humbled, honestly. Okay, I'll show you guys how we do this. Can't get a book out and see all these people walking by with books. So that's how it usually works when I do these things. For all your assistance.
The best guidance.
Meditation group.
His Grace Ramaroy Prabhu, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu.
What's it?
His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, His Grace Ramaroy Prabhu.
Yeah.
His name is Chandra Chakras.
Yeah.
Maybe someone can have an idea, someone share what can be improved next time. Of course, like timing, we need to let people know in advance, you know.
I thought if I can just be honest with you, is that a good spot?
As far as New York goes, it's probably an average spot. I don't know if it's much better. And, you know, I haven't spent much time distributing books in, say, Union Square or Times Square, but I can't imagine that Times Square is better or what.
I think that's one of the better spots.
Just in the winter time, it's kind of a little bit tough because it's always in the summer. But
Yeah.
Summertime, because it's Vaisheshika Prabhu said, you can just go out of the temple and go different directions. And that's it. It will be a spot of book distribution. And it will be really nice. Many people have it. Go outside a little bit easier because people are not that excited. They're always running and running and running.
In the subways, which subway spot do you think is the...
Have you ever done book distribution underneath Union Square? Is it any different there than it is?
It depends on different timing. Because, for example, when we're doing Harina, it's like we start at 1:30, and first half of the day it's very not like slow, but people more mode of goodness. But then everybody start coming from work like 5 p.m. and you just crowd. Everybody's around. If you can catch at least one person, it's good. So it just depends on time.
Have you distributed at Barclay?
Yes.
Where we were today?
Yes.
You've been there before? It was about the same as Union Square or Times Square? And the subway we're talking?
Yes, maybe the same.
That's what I thought. Pretty
Times
much.
Square is a bit tough. It's for me.
Oh, really? For some reason,
Yeah, for
Times
some reason,
Square-
for somebody it's okay. But
Yeah,
for me it's okay.
I just find it at home. Union Square is it's a nightmare for me, especially that Harinam spot.
That's my personal.
You do better at Union Square?
No, Times Square.
Times Square? Have you ever done the Port Authority or Grand Central?
This is the best. Port
just-
Authority. 34th Street. This is the best.
You like it? I think maybe it's like a mental block. But for me, that's...
Port Authority and Penn Station is different from, you're talking about Port Authority? Do you
Oh,
go to
Port
42nd?
Authority, it's 42nd. It's Times Square. Which is
34th Street Penn Station.
Right, Port Authority.
Yes, that's 40...
Yeah, it's 42nd. And then Penn Station.
You like Port Authority?
no, I like Penn Station.
Penn Station.
34th.
34.
10.
See, that to me was the worst, because people are running so.
34th,
But
right?
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, with Sankirtan, it's kind of like the weather. One day, one place is nice, and then later on it's not nice, and then it's nice again. I always find it hard to really narrow something down. There are some places that are consistently not nice. Like, you avoid those.
Probably next month we have one suggestion that it should be longer.
Yeah.
That's what this month
Well,
was
Vaisheshika kind of cautioned against that. I remember him making that point. That when he was doing his starting up a book distribution in Silicon Valley, that the first few times they went out, someone said, you know, let's make it shorter. And he said, no, let's keep it the same. And then a couple of sessions later, he said, let's make it longer. I said, no, let's keep it the same. Because when you make it longer, some people can get into it, but also other people will then decide, oh, this is too long. I won't go anymore. So you win some and you'll lose some. So, I mean, I would consult with Vice Station about that.
So what's the optimal time for the distribution itself, not for the packing up and unpacking and everything?
2 hours.
2 hours?
We planned 2 hours today. It was shorter because later the original version was played. The goal was 2 hours to be there, like 2 hours.
Well, we were there for 2 hours.
We were 1 hour.
Does anybody know the
1
time
and a
we
half.
actually started?
I think we started
Like around
4:40.
No, I mean,
no, 3:45, something like that.
Yeah, 3:45.
Oh, okay, so we did cut it short.
It took us longer to get there and pack and everything. So
But also, I think it's good when it's a little bit short time because you kind of feel it, like urgency to distribute. Like, you know, okay, 10 minutes, that's it. And they actually take.
For us, at least it was hard to dance.
Yeah, I was thinking, like if I have 10 minutes, I'm gonna dance really well. Like 10 minutes, I'm okay, yeah.
That was cold.
yeah, and it's cold in the saris.
No, I didn't feel cold, but I felt like tired, especially if earlier we did it every week, the Harinam dancing on the Union Square, but now they moved, so we just do it only on Sankirtana Festival.
Our little girl here, she's the book distributor in
$1.
Yeah. Please give $1. Sorry. Her line, please give $1.
that's a great line.
That's the way to do it.
Just $1. Any maybe idea for the next time how we can attract more people to join us?
Did you see the image they sent out in maybe the Saber group today for tonight's lecture? It was just a little, like a postcard almost kind of thing. If there was something like that we could share on our social media to our different devotee friends, things like that. Because I think a lot of people still don't know what this is all about, that it's happening, or anything like that. So we could just flood everyone. And then,
Are you part of the MSF group on WhatsApp? Because I shared the pictures there.
okay.
And also we are planning to open Facebook
Okay.
and channel, YouTube channel where we're going to upload all these
I would
videos.
make one suggestion for next month, January. We're going to be doing a disciples course, which will be 4 Sundays back to back in the month of January. So if it's a Sunday, none of us are going to do it. So it should be a Saturday.
I think also to give it some push, maybe if you know any traveling devotee or sannyasi who's visiting at that time, and you can get in touch with that person and then ask, like for example, had Niranjana Swami come, join the. So any other. Oh, perfect. So that way we can market it nicely. Everybody knows that okay, Kadammakana Swami is going to join us, or any devotee. That gives us this boost.
Yeah, we tried this month.
So I know it was mentioned earlier, but when it's, you know, when you meet that nice person and you don't have something to connect them to, it just feels, you know, like a card for the temple.
Right. We all just talked to Hans Group, and he's on it to make cards.
At least you can go like in the back of the book, you know, that's where we're at. And is there a website maybe that lists the times?
Actually, this card when we had all the temples.
Yeah, Harinam had that, right?
We had it before.
Yeah,
All the temples.
yeah, I asked Shishka Prabhu what should we.
That's what we should have. Everybody should distribute, not just this time. Everybody should have one that has all this stuff.
Can I ask a question about the books? I've collected a lot of these books from Harinam over the years. I haven't had a chance to read all of them, but I was under the impression that each and every single book in the back talked about the principles and about the diet. But then when I flip through some of my books, it's not in every single book. So is it not a rule to be in every single book? Because I like to tell people, like, just grab any of those, like, just go to Unisquare and just grab any of those books and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Like, but it's not in there. It's not in every book.
Well, the Bhagavatam, it talks about it in some places. In Bhagavad Gita, we hear about vegetarian diet in some places.
No, I mean like in the smaller books. Like I thought in the back there was that little section.
They're a mixed bag of things. Most of the smaller books were created when devotees first went out to do book distribution, and they were giving people Bhagavad Gitas in like the Adi Leela 7th chapter or something like that. And people thought, what will people learn from these books? They'll just be amazed and completely baffled. So we should have some kind of books to help people to break into these other books. So the BBT started pulling together various lectures that Prabhupada had given and talks that he had given to people who knew nothing about Krishna consciousness, answering basic questions like, what is a guru, what's your diet, what is consciousness, what do we mean by spiritual life, is God a person? So these are books like Science of Self-Realization, Journey of Self-Discovery, Life Comes from Life. Each of these books has a certain kind of thing that it puts across. And they weren't written by Prabhupada as he sat down and wrote them. Prabhupada spoke them and they collated it into a book, and that's what the other smaller books are. Mostly they take a particular topic. Like Easy Journey to Other Planets takes the topic of going to other planets, but it also talks about material and spiritual life. Ishopanishad talks about a whole bevy of different things, personalism, impersonalism. It talks about, how one should act, how we should not be thieves, etc., etc. And so each book is kind of like that, kind of take a smaller.
No, I mean, I was under the impression that a while back, every book would have that card that had like Atman Sugi's class, like it says Vegetarian Feast. I thought every book had that card, and then every book had the section in the back.
Well, every book has a section in the back that does tell about where the temples are. That's there in every book, where it explains what the addresses are. And, it says something joyous for peace or whatever. I don't specifically gives any direction to the specifics about vegetarianism.
Thank you.
What's that? Costco.
So, what time we have the program started?
We're probably getting ready to.
Yeah, no, it's 6:15 now.
Yeah, so we're gonna start.
So in 15 minutes,
So we're gonna
hits the
round up?
podium, right?
All right, thank you everyone.
Off the clock.